Question number 6. Grant Robertson.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. Does he agree with the Reserve Bank Governor's statement that, quote, the growth outlook is now softer than at the time of the June statement, rebuild activity in Canterbury appears to have peaked, and the world price for New Zealand's dairy exports has fallen sharply?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, generally, although not with exactly every word that the Reserve Bank Governor says, but also agree with what the Governor said when he said that the economy is currently growing at an annual rate of around 2.5%, stronger than the OECD average of 2%. So although expectations of growth may be coming back a bit from recent forecasts, we are on track for moderate, sustainable growth, as the government has been saying pretty much all year.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Is Westpac's analysis correct that the Canterbury rebuild has already peaked and won't add materially to economic growth over the remainder of this year or the next, and from 2017 will reduce economic growth by almost 2/3%?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, I haven't seen any of the detail of that analysis. There's been a lot of forecasts that the Christchurch activity has peaked, and it just keeps on peaking. So, for instance, while the residential rebuild is well through, the public sector rebuild, which is quite substantial, is only about 10 or 15% complete, and there are still billions of dollars to spend. So I think we've yet to see whether Christchurch activity has peaked.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Is ANZ senior economist Sharon Zollner correct when she says, quote, commodity woes are far from specific to dairy. It is a sea of red across the entire commodity complex?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, to quote my colleague, she may well be wrong on that. In fact, well, the member likes to quote bank economists when he thinks they're negative, and he won't quote them when he thinks they're positive. And actually, with respect to prices for exports, some export prices are down, some are certainly up.
Question, Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question.
Keep up,
Grant Robertson.
Does he agree with the Real Estate Institute of New Zealand Chief Executive Colleen Milne that house prices in Auckland will continue to rise after today's rate cut, and with predictions that the median Auckland house price will break the $1 million mark before the end of next year?
Oh no, Nick's got it sorted.
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr Speaker, all I can say is you don't have to be a real estate agent or even the opposition finance spokesman to predict that Auckland house prices might rise.
Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
So isn't it the case that with the Canterbury rebuild peaking, commodity prices across the board tumbling, that the only thing left in his master plan for the economy is the Auckland housing bubble? That's it.
That's right. Thank you, Nick.
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, no. And just to orientate the member, as the Reserve Bank has said today, the outlook's a bit softer, but the economy is expected to grow between 2 or 3% over the next 12 months. Now, that might not suit the member. It might be easier for him to talk the economy down than to try and understand what's happening. But that's what New Zealanders are doing each day. They're out there investing another dollar. There's job growth, there's income growth, there's innovation. This economy has good prospects.
Question, Mr Speaker.
Order. Order. Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Is his new plan for the economy the further sale of state assets, given that he told the Competition and Regulation Conference today, quote, state assets are relics of a bygone era?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, no, there's no change in the government policy about the sale of state assets. But it may, well, how can if the member wants to talk about where the economy's headed and he doesn't know that the post office is losing the competition with the internet, then the Labor Party's in very serious trouble.
Mr Speaker.
Supplementary question, Grant Robertson.
Can he confirm to the House that today at the Competition and Regulation Conference he describes state assets as a class of assets as relics of a bygone era?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, well, if the member thinks that I can confirm that I made a statement like that with reference to companies like New Zealand Post. I mean, if the member thinks that the postal service is the cutting edge of innovation and growth in the New Zealand economy, that's like thinking the Labour Party is the cutting edge of politics in the New Zealand economy.
Question number 7, Mark Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.